All right, y'all, let's get into one of our favorite things to do, and that's listen to head coach Brian Schottenheimer give a press conference. I'm especially interested in hearing him after his first ever loss as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's get right into it. Be sure to subscribe. More Dallas Cowboys content. Man, shut your up. All right, Shotty, let's see what you're talking about today, my boy. Let's see what you're
What's the message to your group as we begin a new week?
Just that. It's a new week. Guys are in today. We watched the review of the Eagles game. You know, it's always a little harder to do it 3 days after because you'd rather do it the day after when it's fresh. But just pointed out the things we did well, things we need to do better, and then how we're going to do that. And then take a little lunch break, which we're on now, and then do the Giants intro. So, we never change. Our process always stays the same.
Is your philosophy the 24-hour rule, or is it, in this case, you had like 48 hours because you saw CD. Obviously, he was upset about the game. He was working out. How do you try to move on?
Well, the rule I abide by is the midnight rule. That's a Marty Schottenheimer rule. Midnight, and we didn't get done playing until I think after midnight. So, but his thing was always, hey, you play the game, you have till midnight to feel sorry for yourself or be excited, and then once midnight hits at 12:01, you move on to the next opponent because there's another great team coming in. You know, sitting around watching football yesterday, Calvin, I mean, the league is exactly where they want to be. Very good football teams, very close games, and the parity is real. So I really do believe that's important. This one carries over a little bit just because of the fact that, again, the league mandates you give the guys a couple days off, so you had to touch on today. We don't shy away from having hard conversations or celebrating big wins. Like I said, the process is always the same.
Brian Todd Archer with ESPN. You guys didn't allow a sack to the Eagles. Now you're facing another pass rush that seems to be pretty good as well. When you have a young line, how do you tell them, like, hey, good job, but now get ready for these guys?
It's a humbling business, man. They know that. They each week has its own challenges, Todd. And this is an incredible front coming in here. They've obviously added, Abdul Carter, high draft
How do you
pick.
tell the young guys, hey, good job, but get ready? It's called look at the next game on the schedule. Get ready. The fuck?
A good player, but with Dexter inside and Burns and Thibodeau, and
I'm done playing nice with these reporters and stuff, by the way. Screw all that, bro. I don't need their approval. I don't want their approval. I'm done playing nice with these boys. If you ask a dumbass question, if you ask a messy question, I'm calling it dumbass or a messy question, bro, straight up.
I'm a big Bobby Okereke fan. I think he's a hell of a football player, and but I was proud of the guys last game. Again, it wasn't perfect, but we played physical. That was the big thing that jumped off the film, even watching again with the players this morning, was how physical this football team played. And I think if we play as physical as we did the other night, we play with the discipline that we had the other night, then I think we'll feel good going into most weeks that we'll find a way to get a victory.
And Javonte, was that the touches that you want, like ultimately you'd like to see from him on a week-to-week basis, or is that something you think might rotate?
No, I think Javonte's kind of he's clearly the starter right now. But again, we didn't have many attempts at the plate. I wish we could have gotten a few more attempts at the plate, and defense gave us a chance there late to put the game away with a win and victory with a touchdown. We didn't do that, but I thought overall Javonte played the game the right way, man. If you watch him, he showed how physical he is as a runner, but also without the ball. He ran a little speed sweep. I think it was the second play of the game where he comes out and he's blocking Cooper DeJean, and then there's a chip on a two technique earlier in the game or at some point in the game, and I'm excited for Javonte and what he brings to our offense.
John Michaud with The Athletic. On the outside going into that game, it was kind of tough to know what you guys would be because of the new pieces, new coaching staff, not doing much in the preseason with a lot of those guys. Was there anything when you watched the film that maybe exceeded your expectations?
I wouldn't say exceeded our expectations, John. I mean, we're a very confident group. I'm confident in the guys that we have in that locker room. I do think the physicality jumps off, but I'll also speak to the discipline. I mean, to go into that environment, it was loud. It was, as it should be, opening night of the NFL regular season 2025, and our guys played discipline. We had the one pre-snap penalty, which is more on us as coaches with the 12 men on the field. And again, when you do that, if you have that type of discipline, you play with that type of physical standard of football, and then you carry that into not beating yourselves. We didn't really beat ourselves much. We didn't have a lot of penalties and a lot of self-inflicted wounds. The one turnover that cost us certainly, but the first thing that jumps out would be the physicality.
And how'd you come out of the game health-wise?
Pretty good, pretty clean. For a physical game like that, like I just talked about the physicality, I think we should be in pretty good shape. I'll get an update here. We'll know a lot more come Wednesday.
Nick Harris, Four-Star Telegram. Brian Daniels said yesterday after the Giants game that he wasn't necessarily committing to Russell Wilson as a starter. As far as prepping for two quarterbacks during the week, what does that look like for you guys? And is there much of a challenge that goes into that?
Well, first of all, Dave's a really good friend of mine. We were together with the Jets. He's never going to give you guys much. He's smart. He's been around Bill. Coach Belichick. But again, we've obviously I know Russ very well. Won a lot of games together in Seattle. Can't wait to see him. And then of course there's video of Jackson from college in the preseason. Supposedly played great in the preseason. I didn't see that. So we'll be ready for both of them. But again, we're just starting our prep, and again, we'll see how they play. Supposedly they're going to have a package for Jackson yesterday, anyways.
And then with Marshawn Nealon, what's kind of seen or not seen behind the scenes as far as his work ethic goes, or whatever that prepares him for a situation on Thursday night where you have a game?
Same guy every day, Nick. I mean, literally the same guy every day. The guy that the world saw run around on that football field and play physical and get the sack and chase things down. And he had a great strip attempt on Saquon that didn't come out. He is the same guy each and every single day, and that consistency I talk about a lot up here, right? The consistency is what jumps off the film, even at someone like myself that's around them every day.
I love that Shotty is like a fiend for consistency, bro. You could tell that's like a big thing for him as it pertains to putting guys on the field. Guys have to show him something day in and day out, and I like that.
And now it's like the league knows. The league knows how talented this young man is, but it's because of his work ethic, his love for the game of football, and he plays the game the right way. And you can't go into that game and not have confidence knowing that he's a terrific young football player that's only going to continue to ascend.
Right.
Tommy Arsh, DallasCowboys.com. You talked about with Mozzie, consistency is something you want to see. Some of the other younger guys who are game day inactives, like a Jaden Blue or Shamar James, what do they need to show you during the week to kind of continue to earn your trust and earn the trust of the staff?
You kind of answered your own question there, Tommy, because it is consistency. At the end of the day, young players, it hits at different times, and I'll talk about, Jaden. He's extremely talented. I mean, he really is talented, but there's a way you have to perform, especially with a mantra of compete every day. I mean, if you're not putting it out there and you're not doing right every day, and if you take a step back on a Thursday, maybe he did great on Wednesday and on Thursday, I'm not saying he did, but that's going to get noticed. And this is an incredibly talented roster, and you have to earn your chance to get out there. It's not because I was the first overall pick of the draft or whatever it is.
I like that.
There's got to be a consistency, and I will speak to a guy like Tyler Booker. He's not been perfect. He didn't play perfect, but Tyler Booker has been very, very consistent. Each and every day what you're going to get from Tyler Booker. And I think some of the young guys that were inactive, we've had those hard conversations with them. They understand where they need to go, and I have no question that they will respond to that. Will that be this week? I don't know. We'll see. But the cool thing for them is they can determine that, and they might have a great week of practice, but because of numbers, they could be still inactive, or they could have a average week, and we end up needing them to step up because of different things that happen. But consistency is clearly the thing that we're always looking for with young players.
Scott Dixon with the AP. I asked you last week a little bit about third QBs. I had one follow-up. Now that you played a game without the emergency QB, and you've indicated that you have emergency QB plans if you don't want to share, do you think the league still needs that third QB provision on game day, or is that maybe an overreaction to that playoff game?
Yeah, probably. Again, I go back and forth. I literally, you asked the question, so my mind is processing. It'd be great to be able to have 3 guys active just in case. But they certainly, have done the studies and know kind of what they're looking for. But, last year we obviously with Trey Lance, we carried the 3, and, there's limitations of when they can go in and when they go in, how it looks. But we're all dealt with the same cards, and you decide how you want to use your roster. And, again, to steal a line from Tom Moore, I remember when I was in New York, he came and was a consultant with us, and he always talked about, Peyton Manning. And he said, you see number 18 in there? And I was like, yeah, we were watching some Colts film. And he's like, well, if he's not in there, we're basically effed. And I would do Tom's voice, but it was just great. And I was just kind of like, interesting comment. But, look, at the end of the day, this is a quarterback-driven business, man. And so the biggest thing for me is that you should always be trying to develop your quarterbacks. And if you're forced to play your third or your fourth quarterback, it could be a tough road.
Go.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. One more question about Marshawn Nealon. Obviously, DeMarcus Lawrence was going to be a pending free agent. This guy used a second-round pick on. What did you see from Marshawn Nealon kind of last year, learning from DeMarcus Lawrence to potentially kind of take over that role like he is this year?
Yeah, number one, Marshawn is a sponge, and he learns from everybody. But, I think D-Law did a great job really leaning into him last year. And, they are very similar. The play style, the aggressiveness, the violence in their hands, and the instincts that they play on.
I thought Nealon was pretty much like a D-Law doppelganger when they drafted him.
We're trying to build, and I think meaning when practice ends today, I hope there's a handful of our veterans, or normally is, that stay out there with a young guy or two to lean into them. Not just because we want you guys to see it on camera, it's because it's going to help us. Is it going to help us this week? I don't know. But it sure as hell is going to help us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks down the line. And so we have the right type of culture. And when you have your veteran players, again, going back, staying out there and spending time with your young players, I think that's a huge, 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 huge advantage. And, I've seen it with multiple of our vets.
Dak obviously prioritized using his legs this offseason, mobility, kind of trying to train that up again. You guys didn't allow a sack, but there were pressures. How much of that is a testament to what Dak was able to do from his mobility standpoint, and what did you see from that work in the offseason kind of translate?
Well, number one, he looks great. Just physically, he looks great. But pass protections, it incorporates everybody. It incorporates the receivers getting open. It incorporates him making good decisions. It's obviously the pass protection unit as a whole. It's the running back. So it's really not just one thing. But that's a very, very good front that we played, and they've got the ability to affect passers. And I think for the most part, we did a really, really good job of going through our progressions, getting the ball out of our hand. But when he had to move, he moved, and he moved well.
Garrett
Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, George Pickens, he had 4 targets in the last game. Was that a game plan thing, or is that more Dak's first game back and he's just really excited to throw 13 to CeeDee Lamb?
No, again, each week's going to be different. Garrett, George is an incredible player. They did cloud to him quite a bit, but each week's going to be different, and you never go in and say, okay, hey, well, you get 13 or 14 this week, and you get 4. Like, we never do that. Right. Really, the ball kind of goes certain spots. Looking back at the film, even watching with Dak a little bit ago, there was 1 or 2 potential possibilities where the ball should have gone to George. And the cool thing about George is, like I said, he was so into the game. He affects the game in a good way, and I never felt one time like he was pressing, which is a great thing.
What is the conversation like, entering this week, new player like him, contract year, wide receiver, where they kind of have to ask for the ball? What's that like, you, the play caller, going to a receiver like that and talking after a week where it's only that kind of number?
Well, it's funny, and I didn't have it with George. I should have probably had it with George, but I showed CD before the game all of his targets. So on the back of your call sheet, you've got to get the ball to certain people, and it was like this. Okay, CD, look at all your targets. And then literally George's was right below him. I was like, okay, then look at all of George's targets. So it's like, obviously the way we're designing the game plan is to feature your playmakers. And it's very evident that those 2 guys are elite players. I think that's why
Vic and we're designing the game plan is to feature your playmakers. I absolutely love that statement.
You guys played us the way they did. That's why I think the running game is so important, because I think we're going to see quite a bit of split safety or shell coverage, because they're going to respect our guys on the outside, because if you play them one-on-one, the defense is at a disadvantage. So again, it's more of them just knowing, hey, we see you. We know you're a great player. We're going to try to get you the ball as much as possible. But like I've always said, there's only one ball to go around. And a lot of it is, again, the 2 of them have such a great relationship that George was happy for CD with his production. And guess what? This week when it flips, CD will be happy for George, and vice versa.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio on 105.3 The Fan. I want to go back to quarterback for just a moment, and your knowledge of Russell Wilson, even after all these years, and he's not surrounded by what he used to be. What is it that you most appreciate about his game?
Oh, man. That's a great question. It's probably a long answer. One of the greatest deep ball throwers I've ever been around, Christy. This guy's ability to just drop the ball in the bucket and put the perfect amount of air to the receiver that it was intended to. What do I mean by that? Like, Tyler Lockett was a 4.25 guy. Probably still runs pretty damn fast. So he would put a little bit more air up underneath it and let Tyler go track it, whereas DK, he would throw it a little bit flatter, but it didn't matter who he was throwing it to. He just was probably one of the best deep ball throwers I've ever been around. The ability to extend plays when I was with him was incredible. He just was a great improviser, and that's what our game's become. Our game is sitting around watching the games last night, watching Lamar and Josh play. Man, it's like, if you can't move around and make plays in this league, it's you're outgunned a little bit. So those are the first 2 things that pop out. Excited to see Russ. I'm actually mad.
You know what I love, man? I don't know if I've ever heard Mike McCarthy talk about watching other games, or Jason Garrett for that matter. I don't know if I've ever heard them talk about not only watching other games, but being aware of the environment surrounding those other games, being aware of what's going on, modernizing his approach and his thought process. That's encouraging to hear.
Reach out to him, because Tad over here, my man Tad, he's got on more. So Russ has a shoe brand called Good Man. It's a clothing line, and Tad's got like 9 pair. Show him off, Tad. So Russ, if you see this, I'm losing to Tad. So please send some Good Man shoes. I'm happy to pay, but it'd be great to see him. Seriously, he has like 6 pairs. I'm getting pissed off. Seriously, Russ, I'm getting pissed off. Yeah, I am getting pissed off. And he brags about it. He's like, hey, you see, check him out. I'm like, yeah.
There's a couple more, Russ.
Yeah, no.
Ed
Werder with WFAA. Going into your first game as a head coach, you had an unlimited amount of time since the Eagles were your first opponent. Now you're playing your home opener. You've got a little extra time again. Does that help you as a head coach to
have additional prep time?
Well, number one, we're looking forward to opening the season at home, for the home opener. I watched a little bit of their game yesterday. I'm a football fan, Ed, so I'm going to watch, game. I kind of do the Red Zone channel. I like just kind of see what the league's doing. We're early in the parts of our preparation. I think they're an opponent we know pretty well. Having, being another division game. What you have to guard against is kind of over-preparing, because there's certainly, when you're in the new part of this year, okay, what's Shane Bowen going to do differently than what he did last year? And, what's, Dave's and Kafka going to do different? So this is one of those games where it's kind of like you focus a little bit more on yourself. And that's kind of early season football, because it's like, okay, they could do X, Y, Z, but as long as we're doing things that we believe in and things that we know we're good at, it gives you a chance.
Other question, as you were watching around the league yesterday, did you watch some Green Bay Lions? And if so, presuming you did, what did you think of Micah Parsons' impact early on?
Again, I did see a little bit of the game. I was flipping back and forth, and Green Bay looked good. Yeah, I saw him running around out there, Yeah, he looked like he was having fun. That's good.
Yo, Shotty funny as hell for that. He said, yeah, Green Bay look good. Yeah, I saw him running around out there. He having fun. Good for him. Like, man, Shotty, bro, I don't care about none of that, bruh.
God.
Is Diggs still in a ramp up, or is he good to go now?
Who?
Diggs.
Trayvon?
Yeah.
Again, we'll talk about it, Todd, but again, he did really well in the game, and, see how he does today. And today's a little bit more about just shaking the rust off. We'll get a little jump start on, the Giants and move around a little bit. These guys have had a couple days off, so shake the rust off a little bit, but I think he'll be pretty clear to play.
He's probably a guy that always kind of wants more than you give him.
Always. Always. He loves playing football, man, and he's really good at it. And I love seeing him. I love seeing him smile at the game the other night. Looked like he was having a great time, and we played him in certain packages, and it was great to see him out there.
Kyle Humans, Cowboys TV coach. You've always emphasized the need to be physical up front. What did you see from the offensive line and the tight end group being physical against a defensive front like Philly, is specifically in the run game?
Pad level was really good. Combination blocks were really good. Kyle, we wanted to use some misdirection against them because, like I said, they're not a very complicated defense. Talking about the Eagles, they're not very complicated. They're just really good. So I thought some of our combination blocks were really, really good. And then when they were moving, they started blitzing and trying to move, and they're pretty static in terms of what they do. I thought we blocked movement pretty well. For the most part, there was a run down to the 1 yard line. I actually showed the group a little bit ago where it was probably a 7 or 8 yard run, and it kind of got stalemated. But our guys coming behind and pushing the pile and finishing. We talk about competitive stamina all the time, and they probably pushed the pile for another 5 or 6 yards. It wasn't the tush push. It was during the course of a play, but it was cool to see those guys keep playing.
Yo, he said it wasn't a tush push. It was during the course of a play. But that sounded like a little shotty.
Keep playing, play to the echo of the whistle. That was cool to see.
Nick.
For Kenny Clark, I know it's probably impossible to get 100% acclimated in less than a week, but were there a couple of plays that jumped to mind seeing the film on Thursday and being like, wow, that's going to be his impact?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of them. You guys can go find them. They're pretty easy to find. Just the strength he plays with, the play style that he plays with. They were running a little duo play where he was getting singled, and just the strength to hold the point of attack, and the back was coming down the A gap, and he was holding the guard off with one hand, and the back came, and just the strength and the power and the pad level that he has to, I think it was like a 1 yard run. I mean, just you see the strength and the power, so disruptive. And I thought really we settled in the second half. Our run fits were way better in the second half. Thrilled he's here, man. He's just an awesome teammate. I think I mentioned one of the times we've talked about just the way he plays the game. He's just like this, man. It's nothing new for him. He's been playing high-level football for a long time, and love having him around as a teammate.
Now that you're back to calling plays, how much did you second-guess yourself on when you did your own review of yourself in that game?
Oh, there's always ones you second-guess. I'm going to always be incredibly hard on myself. And I do believe this. I'll say it. I've called a lot of shitty plays in my career that worked out great. And I've called a lot of really good plays where I was like, you guys wait, this one's going to be sweet. And it's like -5. I'm like, damn, didn't see that one happening. But what I will say to you is I'm very confident calling plays, not because of me, but because of the players that we have on this team.
Leave anything on the call sheet from the game? And I know you talked about time of possession was an issue too.
No, I wouldn't say, because we have our must calls, and I felt like we got all those out there. Looking back at the game, I felt like in the fourth quarter there was, we were really good on third down all game, and in the fourth quarter, 3 of our 4 third downs were 10 or more. So I probably could have helped us get into more third down and manageable, and different things affect that. But being self-critical, that's an area that I can do better.
Alrighty.
Okay then. All right. So that was head coach Brian Schottenheimer. Let me know what y'all think about that down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one, man. Out. Them Cowboys.
Calling me, texting me, paging me, asking me, am I still the ball? Y'all usually check on me. Listen, 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 listen. I'm still them boys. Hey! Woo! Oh, shut up, my boy. Hey! I'm still them boys.